Good evening, at least on the East Coast and the Central Time Zone. Late afternoon to you people further west, and whatever it is, wherever you are, if you're in another part of the world. Hi, welcome. Glad you're here. Glad you will watch it later on replay. I'm Dadman Walking 55, and this is our weekly recap of Week 9's SEC football action from yesterday. We're going to talk about the scores of some of the games. We're going to see how the picks worked out with me and my guest that this week, which was that Gen X guy. We it was an interesting week, I will say, with the picks and with some of the games. So, and it will be fun to see how things have played out. We'll see how the top 25 is shaken out after national games have been played, and we'll take a look at everything in general. And if you have questions, feel free to answer them. Like this. No free coffee, but here's the question. Where are the donuts? Okay, thank you. Okay, no donuts. We ate those in Orlando before we came home. Next to the coffee are so hard. Yes, there's none. They're all gone. They were consumed. Everything has been consumed. There are no groceries. There are no donuts. There is no coffee. Sorry to say, but hey. But you lovely people here tonight with us. So far, we've got 4 watching us tonight. And as always, we appreciate your support. And if you're watching us on the Twitch side, make sure you follow the channel and get the notifications for whenever we go live. If you're watching from the YouTube side, make sure you like the video, share it out. Subscribe to the channel. We can get to 100 subscribers, then we get the customized URL that everybody tells me is really, really a wonderful thing. So hopefully we will get that. Yeah. No kisses. Well, I don't know. I have to get Mrs.'s pre-approval of certain people that I might do that for, but not you, CJ. So sorry. Hey, Hey, Geeky. Hello, I'm listening right now because I'm cooking. Almost done. LOL. Well, listen, glad you're here. Glad you're listening in. Well, hey, don't, have a good dinner. What's for dinner, by the way? I'm always nosy about good food. That's one other thing we do talk about here is good food. If you watch my Twitter account, DadmanWalking55, you will always see pictures of all kinds of crazy food. So, yeah. Okay. Well, I got standards, CJ. And then here we go. Okay. The missus is the designated guy kisser for me. So she'll take care of everything there for you. But hey, thank you everybody that's here. Geeky, have fun listening and cooking. And we will talk about what week 9 brought us in this week. Oh gosh, you guys, yeah, y'all like to derail the chat. Giggles. I can hear CJ giggling already. But hey, week 9 of the SEC action brought us a whopping total of 5 games this week. Only 5 games in the conference, 3 of which had some bearing on the fate of division leaders in the East and the Western divisions of the conference. So it was an important week. Not many games, but it was a very important week. And let's see. Okay, I asked steak and deviled eggs. Yum. Love the steak part. Absolutely. All right. Yeah. Mrs. can tell you about the deviled egg story in the chat. I can't do that, but anyway, hopefully it's a good steak. And I'm curious how I like my steak medium rare. Mrs. likes hers rare, so I know a lot of people have different parts about it. And yes, I know you would like that part of it. So too bad we don't have a Pac-12 show with the Arizona State Sun Devils. Or ACC with the Duke Blue Devils. Okay, then we could make some devilish egg humor. Oh, God, ticklish. All right, we've had fun already. Y'all have made my night. Thank you for being here. So 5 games this week. the most attractive game that had the most national attention was a rivalry that's gone way, way back in history. The Georgia-Florida game this week, with Georgia winning the game 42-20. So let me bring up our calendar and where we stand in week 9 here. And remember, we're not a gambling site. Everything we talk about here is for fun. We just do straight up winners when we pick with our guests. It's not to be relied on a gambling site, especially after you see one of the games this week that I had no clue coming to fruition. So we're just here to have fun, take it like that, and let's talk some football. If you have questions along the way, let's talk some football. Since we only have 5 games, let's fill some time and let's enjoy talking. If there's something in the games that you saw, if there's officiating issues, if there's just questions about rules or games, just ask and I'll do what I can to try to talk about it. So, all right. Hey, right after my own heart, medium rare. That's good. And like CJ said, the medium rare cool club. Yeah, that's cool. Some people like it even rarer, and some people like it even cooked a lot more. So I don't know. Yes, CJ, yes, I will explain football as we go along. Yeah, but you got to soak it up somewhere along the way, my friend. Let's see. Yes, this is always a staying here. Steak cooked so that a good vet can bring it back to life, and very rare. So, with that said, the first game of the week was Georgia and Florida playing in the neutral site of Jacksonville, Florida. Georgia won this game going away. It was 21-3 before halftime. The game was really over pretty early. And let me say hello to one more wonderful person, Carol. Hello, Carol. Good. Congratulations for your Patriots today, then. Yes, I think the Jets the Jets and the Giants both need to be shown a lesson out the door. So that's interesting. Hey, congratulations. Thanks for being here, Carol. Yeah, LOL. And yeah, CJ, I can see how different types of steak could be better based on, different types of meat could be better at different temperatures. So that's true too. But we got to give everybody a hard time though if they're not rare or medium rare, but or if they want shoes. So with the Florida Georgia game, 42-20, and each of these games we're going to talk a lot more in detail on Friday when we do on Thursday night when we do our full show, when we review the past week's action. A lot of this is just some basic quick thoughts, looks at reactions from the score. We knew Georgia was going to win this game, but again, Florida, second year in a row, didn't show up the first half, ends up getting down really quickly early. And you can definitely see that there's still a big gap between Florida and the top of the league. And, we will see that borne out in the standings just a little bit. Then again, Tennessee, give it to the Volunteers. They, let me see. Yeah. Hi, Wade. Good to see you. Yes, rare. I mean, I've heard some people talk about rare steaks where you slap the horns off and put it on for 30 seconds. And yes, Wade, you have every right to be confident. But tune in with us Thursday night. We'll talk more about this matchup this week with Tennessee and Georgia, where I'm planning on spending some serious time on that game for you Vol fans and Dog fans, because that really is the game probably of the year in the Eastern Division coming up. How was Florida meeting? We went to Orlando. I met with Lorena's people, meet up and stuff. I didn't make the big meetups, but the meetups and the people that I saw, it was a lot of fun, and wish we could have stayed longer, but we made a last-minute trip down there. So, but it was good. And thinner steak is a better rare. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I trust you for that. So you know what you're doing. So yes. And hey, listen, I love steak stream. That's we can do a steak stream one day, complete with grill action. So, oh, sorry. There we go. Okay. It is there. Thank you. But Tennessee beat Kentucky 44-6. What's interesting about this game, some thoughts is, I know listening, as I've said many, many times during the week, I listen to the Sports Animal out of Knoxville, the Tennessee radio station. And what I've heard all year was that the Kentucky fans were coming after Tennessee. That was this year for Kentucky after last year to, finish second in the SEC East, and this is their year to challenge Georgia, and they were going to take Tennessee out in the process. But you could tell with Kentucky's offensive problems this year, it was going to be a tall tale. And even with their defense, if you look at how Kentucky's performed all year, their defense has kept them in a lot of games and helped them win some games, but they couldn't hold Tennessee down to at least 30 points. So, and then Kentucky's offense was not able to muster much scoring offense against Tennessee. So I'm not surprised in this game, a little surprised by the margin it is so bad, but I tell you, I bet there are a lot of happy people up in Knoxville with their rivals up north in Kentucky for talking a lot of trash going into the season. And now I think with this game, let me hold that thought. I'm going to tease you guys a little bit for that, because I'll tease that point till the standings. So, it's a very impressive effort coming out of Knoxville these days. It truly is, to see what they've done in 2 years. Geeky says, in my opinion, Stars would have to line, and Georgia would have to have a bad day, and Tennessee would have to have a great day. I don't think we're going to get rolled over, but I don't think we'll get that one. Again, tune in Friday. I will talk about that game in a lot more detail. I'm really split with that game coming up this week. It presents some challenges. The easy thing would be to pick Tennessee just based on emotion, for them having a good year coming out of nowhere, having such production on offense. But you are going on the road. You are facing one of the best defenses still in the nation, giving up less than 10 points a game. And even though after having to reload the defense from last year, it just, and you have a experienced quarterback with Georgia. Like I said, this is a game that if you think emotionally, it might be really quick to think Tennessee, but it's going to be a good game no matter what. Will it be as good as Alabama, Tennessee? Who knows? I don't know how a game can top that, but we shall see. And I might have a few more comments as we get to the standings, but we'll go ahead now and finish through the other 3 games that were not as not as great looking on paper, but Ole Miss beat Texas A&M 31-28 in a close game. The struggles in College Station continue. Recent injuries on the offensive line, some recent suspensions from younger players in the locker room, in an alleged locker room incident, and the dog peeing on the coach's carpet, getting him suspended. Just kidding. That was a spoof article, but that was hilarious to have one more suspension. But hey, it's interesting to see what they did there, how this game came out, because Ole Miss had struggled recently and lost maybe a game or two that they should not have lost, but ended up picking this game up against Texas A&M. Although Texas A&M scoring 28 points is a mega offensive blowout for them. So it was a interesting game in that case. Then we follow that up with Arkansas wins at Auburn 41-27. Auburn seeming to have a little bit better offense now, but still Arkansas wins going away. The struggles in Auburn continue. The coach watch continues. What someone has said in our chat, that there are problems out there too, that, it's very obvious that there are problems. Who knows how long the coach will last. You have to go see what happens. And, it's tough when that happens. But then again, Arkansas now wins after they lost 3 in a row to the teams that control the West. So, hey, it's easy to win now, but when Arkansas needed to win, they did not. And yeah, Wade, Ole Miss isn't bad. They're not bad, but there's still some question about if they're a little bit soft. Some people have some questions about them, especially after the loss last week. But you got to play these games. We'll tell how good they are when they play Alabama, and they lost to LSU recently, big time, 45-20. Yeah, it's a road game, but still, I mean, if you're a top 7 team, top 10 team, that's a game you need to go win on the road. Yeah, I guess so. That might be true. But then again, it leads us to the one upset of the week, which I did not see coming. I don't know who would have seen this coming seriously, but the Missouri Tigers go on the road and beat the South Carolina Gamecocks 23-10. Missouri, not known for its defense, holds the Gamecock offense to 10 points. Missouri manages to score 23 points. Not a stellar offensive output, but effective enough to win a game like this. So, hey, good for them. Go on the road, win it. They beat Vanderbilt. They win this game against South Carolina. We're going to see what happens with them now. We're going to see how an unexpected win like this can change a season and change how you look at a season when we look at the SEC standings. Yeah, CJ, no, this was one. If you called it, I think you were trying to do something, because in no way did this make sense to pick Missouri going into this game with South Carolina. South Carolina had just won at Kentucky a few weeks ago, 27-17. You wouldn't expect the Gamecocks to drop a game like this to Missouri at home. But as a Gator fan, I can always tell you I hate playing Missouri, because they, even when they're bad, they still give you fits. So here's where we stand now after looking at the 5 games this week. Remember this week, my guest was none other than that Gen X guy, Fortnite extraordinaire, Mr. Meme developer that tortures people everywhere on Twitter. So, but hey, well, let's see how things went with us. I'm going to here. We're going to talk about the picks here real quick. We have Georgia, Tennessee, and Arkansas were the 3 common games that we won. Each of us did. One game not shown, that won't be shown, is the Missouri-South Carolina game, because we both got that wrong. And that with Missouri's upset at South Carolina. So our winner of the week comes down to the wonderful, wonderful game of Ole Miss, who won. Yay, Ole Miss. Ole Miss beat Texas A&M. Jen had taken Texas A&M. I took Ole Miss. Ole Miss wins by a field goal. So that results in this week's standings here with me, 4 right, 1 wrong. Jen at 3 correct, 2 wrong, which means after 9 weeks, I have an overall 60-18 record, and our guests have a 52-26 record. That's 67%. So that's still not bad. Our previous guests are Mrs. Dadman Walking, Squeak Mouse, Mark D with a C, Culture Casino, Rambling Conduct, Gen X, who's appeared for a second time, the Great Clobbering Times, and Esh Singh over the last 9 weeks. And that has been a special time each week. I encourage you to go back. If you have not seen these shows before, go back, and even if you don't watch the game recaps and the statistical analysis and the prognostication part of it, go back and listen to each of these guests and what they talked about, how they learned about football, how they were exposed to football, memories that they have with football and games specifically. It's a really have been a set of very interesting conversations that I've had with the guests, and it's really meaningful to go back and watch them. So if you can do that. And like I said, focus on those parts of them. both on Twitch and on YouTube. Um, so with that, let's look at the results of this week's action. We have the 5 winners: Georgia, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Missouri, and Arkansas, and see how the results fall out this week. Well, in the SEC, we have no change at the top of either side. Georgia and Tennessee remain unbeaten in the conference and overall. Going into their game this Friday at Athens. Now, like I said, we'll talk a lot about this show on Thursday. This game on Thursday night, so please be there, and we'll try to analyze it to the greatest extent that we can. It's still too early to to pick a winner here. I wouldn't tell y'all tonight either way, but I do know one thing: I have bounced all around the ball field with this game in the last few weeks. Tennessee is for real, folks. I do not discount them. What I loved about them the most is their coaching staff. And the way they don't get too high, too low. They've avoided critical mistakes and a lot of bonehead decisions in game. So even when they've been pushed, they adjusted. Georgia is just Georgia. Kirby Smart has found his niche up there. He's consistent from year to year. He's almost like Saban in a way. So it's it's going to be a hell of a matchup this weekend, and this is going to be one that this will be a game that's going to be shame either team loses, because the loser of this will more than likely not make the SEC championship game. The winner would be the one to face Alabama, and for both of these teams, it would be sad. I think it'd be sadder for Tennessee because Tennessee has just had so many down years for so long, and they're so close to this. But don't give up. Don't give up hope, and don't throw in the towel, because you still have to play the game. 2016, I think it was, because I remember the game because I spent the. I'm going to say that I've said it before. I'm going to talk about it Thursday night because I love hearing the story again. I know the missus loves it. I spent most of the second half of the Georgia-Tennessee game that's in Athens in the van listening to the play-by-play, and got to hear the Hail Mary from Josh Dobbs. Well, Georgia threw a Hail Mary, got a touchdown, and then somehow Tennessee got it close. Josh Dobbs threw a Hail Mary touchdown to hear the win of it. So, hey, but yeah, it's a classic story the missus loves to say. Geeky says, I'm picking Georgia. We're not there yet. I don't want to face Alabama again. Very good points. Very good points. If I was a Tennessee fan, I probably would do that myself. Sometimes we're harder on our own teams. We're our biggest critics. There a lot of good wisdom in what you said with everything there, But either way, the winner of this game is going to play Alabama, because I do not see Alabama losing to either LSU or Ole Miss. But who knows? Who knows what will happen with that? The rest of the East is a dumpster fire, with South Carolina losing to Missouri, which actually brings Missouri further out of the basement up to the mid-range with Kentucky and South Carolina. Kentucky now is on a disappointing season trend after having expected to end up no worse than second and even challenge Georgia in the East. Their season has really jumped off the tracks. South Carolina was kind of borderline with expectations, but could have had a better year, had just entered the top 25, and then loses the first game when they do that to Missouri, a bottom feeder. So, but then again, good for Missouri, because you know what? They're ahead of Florida. Florida 1-4, 4-4 overall. My friends tell me, don't panic, stay the course. Yep. Okay. Fine. Enjoy it. But hey, I love being with you guys. I love talking college football, and y'all are my therapy for Florida season this year, and I appreciate y'all being here. And Vanderbilt at the bottom, on track for another winless SEC season at 3-5 overall. But I've been saying this, what I'm concerned as a Gator fan, believe the game is going to be at Vanderbilt. I don't know. Maybe Vanderbilt will win a game in the conference this year, and maybe it'll be one that nobody expected. So we'll talk more about that later. Flipping over to the West, we have a three-way tie at the top between LSU, Ole Miss, and Alabama. All three waiting to play each other. So this will have to shake out over the next few weeks. And then, of course, disappointing Arkansas, Mississippi State that were on track for good years, but then couldn't win the games that they needed to win to really make it a great season. And Auburn is not alone in the bottom. The biggest surprise is that Texas A&M down at 1-4, 3-5 overall. That's a story for another day you could focus on. Replacing one coach a couple years ago with a big buyout by bringing somebody else in, and now you've hit the bottom instead of challenging Alabama. So it's this week had a lot of effects on the shape of the conference. We know the leaders didn't change; they stayed there. What happened really changes. The teams that were wanting to be better actually continued their descents lower down in the divisions. So between Kentucky, Florida, and Texas A&M. But it was a bright spot for a team like Missouri. Hey, they're 500 now. They're 2-3 overall. They stole this game. Who knows if they steal two more, they'll be bowl eligible. So, all right. Well, looking at the results nationally overall in the AP Top 25, we have a kind of a surprise here. Well, there's a tie actually between Tennessee and Ohio State for number 2, both with 1,500 points. Georgia was with 31st place votes. This sets up a huge matchup, 1 and 2 this week, Georgia and Tennessee. One will win, one will emerge on top, and one will fall. Depending on how good the game is, you may have one of them stay at number 2. You never know. But now we're down to 6 undefeated teams in the top 7, with Georgia, Tennessee, Ohio State, Michigan representing the Big 10, Clemson representing the ACC, and then TCU at number 7, 8-0 out of the Big 12 conference. So a lot of football left to be played. Still some undefeated teams within striking distance. You have to include the teams in the Pac-10, Pac-12, Oregon, USC, and UCLA. You never know. If you get a few upsets in here, it could shake some things up. But it's hard for a Pac-12 team, if they don't go undefeated, to make it the playoffs. Really, it is. Same with an ACC team. Or Big 12. It's usually in the recent years has been stocked towards the Big 12 and the SEC. Ole Miss is at 11. LSU is number 15. So that gives the SEC 5 out of the top 25 teams. Last week there were 7, but we had dropouts. For instance, LSU had just entered the top 25 and then falls out. Geeky, I will tell you, one of the teams I've always hated the most has been Tennessee. But anything we can stick it to the Big 12 and especially the Ohio State, I'm all for it. So I agree with you right there. Okay, and then we got the Tulane Lover out there. Hey, Tulane Green Wave. Hey, they're up to number 19 in the AP this week. Hey, Mark D with the C. Syracuse has fallen to 22 after a loss. Hey, my Oregon State Beavers. Woohoo! Go Beavs. Number 24. They moved in finally. Hey, all right. Love that West Coast football. And Liberty University is at 23, and UCF also makes an appearance at 25 this week. But looking up and down, teams like Kansas that were in earlier this season are gone. Tulane is probably the big surprise. Wake Forest, that had been up to the top 10, is now down to 20 after losing pretty badly at a weak Louisville team. Yeah. So go Tulane. Go Beavers. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, sorry, Wade. I know the Beavers beat Colorado last week, but hey, you got Tennessee, though. You're a Tennessee fan. You got something even better than West Coast. You got a team that's up and coming and really, really exciting to watch. The fact that Tennessee scores the way they do, really would make me excited to be a Tennessee fan these days. It's not like you're winning 12 to 10 football games all the time. Yeah, I don't care. I'm talking football, but hey, okay. Okay. Going to it, there is, okay. Carol, thank you. Carol, this is why I love this show. This is why I love being here. There is nothing called a silly question when I'm around. Nothing. Okay. BC is Boston College. They are a member of the Atlantic Coast Conference. So they're in the Division One Bowl Division football with these other teams that are listed in this poll, top 25 team. Okay. That means basically these teams are playing at a higher level where they can either enter the playoffs at the end of the year, the 14 playoff, or they can be selected to go represent their schools in one of a number of bowl games around the country after the regular season's over. Boston University, though, we used to call it 1AA, but there used to be 1A and 1AA. Boston University is the 1AA side, or what they call the Bowl Championship Division. Championship. Let me see. Let me get that name real quick right there. Let's see. Let me see real quick with that, because like I said, it used to be 1AA and 1A, but then they had the Bowl Division and the Bowl Championship. Even though the Bowl Division Series has a championship, they let me see real quick. Just bear with me a moment. I love this question, and I'm trying to find the way to get you an answer with that. Okay. Let me see. So yeah, it's really hard. Sometimes they end up stacking everything to the big schools. But I think it's a bold championship division, because they have a 16-team playoff. Basically, what happens at that level, they have a 16-team playoff that are picked based on whatever factors that they use for it. They use the poll rankings and I think strength of schedules, but they'll select the teams that get in the 16-team playoff, and they'll have a normal playoff like in the NFL. They'll be seeded 1 to 16, and then the matchups change, and then they end up playing a championship game. So that's the difference between where Boston College is. Where if Boston College wins, they can go to a bowl game. Boston University is in a division where they can actually play for a championship if they win out. Does that answer your question, though, Carol? Yep. Yes, exactly. No silly questions. This is what I'm here for. I love this part. I love to have questions and things like that. So open those floodgates. We got 9 people watching now, so it's I don't mind it. Okay. I'll top you way towards the end to read this one. Oh man. Hey, listen, I don't think my Devils have gotten any better in the last few years. So, we can commiserate on how bad our hockey team stink. So, it's like playing for a draft, playing for draft positions, gets pretty darn old, at some point when you've done it for a number of years. Yeah. See, Carol's brewing Boston there. There's that Boston is a hot sports town, believe it or not, except for Boston University and Boston College. They're not so good this year, but the pro sports are really good. Hey, Carol's another one. We might have to start a hockey show at some point after the football season's over with this kind of interest in talking hockey. So, but yeah, and this is CJ's here to distract me to kind of really big crowds of people when he hits 10K followers. Well, I love that, but well, let's keep going there. Let's get to 100 first. Well, thank you, Carol. Yep, I'm glad that you. But I hope that made sense with the answers. They're 2 different divisions, and and although they will at times play against each other, usually the little teams don't really stand a chance against the larger division teams. Usually they go in for a paycheck. It's kind of one of those games you go in to get slaughtered. So how that usually goes. So there. Just looking at one more time at the polls, uh, there's a good Big 12 representation with like Illinois and Penn State in the mid range, and Big 12 with Kansas State, Oklahoma State, sort of down low. But there's I mean, pretty much this season's pretty much locked up as to who's going to be in the final four for the championship playoffs. You probably look if TCU can go undefeated. It's probably the only way a Big 12 team will be in the playoffs. Be one of the four selected. You also have Clemson in the ACC conference. Also, that different is that is another league that struggles to get a team in the playoffs with one loss. Usually, it will take only one undefeated team overall and a bunch of teams with one loss for an ACC team to be able to get in. So, yeah, steak is done. No, that's my mom. She texted a bit ago about something, or the French fries. Nope, that was my dear old mother asking about trick or treating. So anyway, outside of Ohio State, Michigan, that loser of that game will probably be eliminated. Let's see, Alabama needs to run the course, make the SEC championship game. And sadly, Georgia, Tennessee, the loser of that game will more than likely be condemned to the Sugar Bowl or some other bowl elsewhere. Like I said, I think it'd be harder for the Tennessee fans. Y'all are so close there with that. But you know what? In any event, even if Tennessee does not win, it's been one heck of a year. And my only thing to you Tennessee Vol fans is enjoy the ride because it can be gone tomorrow. As y'all know for 20 years plus, and how we've struggled, a little bit over the last few years. So that's basically it with the top 25. I mean, you just a mix of different teams from different levels. Liberty is a smaller school. But then again, my Beavers, at least I got one good news. My Beavers are better than my Gators. So imagine a Beaver beating a Gator. Okay, CJ, let me see a thumbnail of that. If you can come up with a thumbnail of a Beaver beating a Gator, I will be impressed, sir. I will be impressed. And we'll talk more. I don't know. Maybe we'll get hockey going at some point. Maybe we can get hockey going at some point. Preds suck. Wait, I know. When you have the wrong teams, it's just so horrible. And Geeky, I'm perfectly happy with a bowl game. We got to build up first. Yes, and that's true. That is very true. And I think that y'all are well on the way with the coaching staff you got to building up to the future. I think, especially with the offensive mind that Josh Heupel comes with, Tennessee has a very bright future. I compare it to some of the other teams where okay, guess challenge accepted. Cool. But I would rather have an offensive coach like Josh Heupel more than the modern day defensive coaches. But that's a two-way street because Kirby Smart is known as a defensive type of coach. But you look at their offense. They don't neglect the offense. Unlike years ago where a team was so defensive heavy, they had no offense. You've got to have balance, especially in the SEC. You've got to be able to throw the ball. You've got to be able to score and you got to be able to stop the other guy. I look at it like Florida this year. They've had matchups where they could score points, but they couldn't stop the other team. Tennessee was a perfect example. Threw 400 yards, could struggled to stop Tennessee though. Then go home to play the Missouri Tigers, barely win that game, 24-17, throw for a grand total of 66 yards. I think I think a good coach is underappreciated these days. And I tell you, I like watching the Gators a lot of times with their formations. I almost think that they're hurting themselves with their formations, that the offensive design is not right. But you look at Tennessee. Tennessee has a designed offense where the receivers are split so far wide, it's easy to run the receivers out of bounds too at times. So it comes to strategy. Do the coaches adjust? How do the players adjust? Do the players make the plays in the big game? big time games. And geeky, Cali team suck. Ducks, Angels. Maybe I should baseball start rooting for the Dodgers. No, don't go to the enemy. Don't go to the enemy. I tell you, I don't. I'm fighting it off. I listen to so much radio in Tennessee. I'm sort of becoming a closet Vol fan at times. Don't tell anybody that, okay? But it's I know the temptation you've got there. Oh boy. So it's like your long-suffering Cubs and Boston Red Sox fans. I'm sure the temptation was always to jump ship over the years, just all the years of futility and everything. But every once in a while, maybe 100 years, you'll get lucky and lightning strikes and you get that championship. Oh, Josh Prey. I don't know that name. Josh. That name sounds familiar though. Josh Prey. That is hilarious. And Carol, that's right. You stay with your team. You don't jump, win or lose. Yeah. Hey, Wade, thank you. At least I'm not a Bama fan. Yes, that's one team I don't think I could ever support. So, but hey, that's that's a fun one. You got to love your rivals. You look at the Bama fans. You look at them. They had their share of problems years ago. When after Gene Stallings retired and they couldn't seem to settle down with a coach. Your stability at your coaching position is really, really vital. I look back at with Dan Mullen's recent term at Florida, that everything was going well until they had the good year, and then the rumors were out there, and I kind of ignored them. I didn't realize it was serious, but apparently there were all these rumors that he was flirting with the Dallas Cowboys, the NFL, and then they stunk up the bowl game. Nobody wanted to play in the bowl game, and it just seemed like after that, everything started falling down. Was the loss at Kentucky, the debacle in the swamp, number 6. All you had to do was beat LSU, and instead you couldn't stop him, and then your defensive back takes the guy's shoes off and throws it 30 yards downfield. I mean, it just seemed like it was down spiral from there. But you got to have a coach that wants to be there, I think. And that's what makes Alabama's got a coach that will not leave. And the boosters won't get rid of him. Tennessee fans love Heupel. There's no indication Heupel's trying to jump to the NFL or something else. Kirby Smart is at home in Georgia. I think it says a lot that they identify with your program. I think that goes a long way to creating stability and pride in your program and consistency from year to year. Saban is the one that was not necessarily tied to the program, but he was smart enough to know what he wanted to do and to stick with it. With the resources Alabama did, not somebody trying to use Alabama as a job for the NFL or another job. I don't know why you would leave Alabama if you loved coaching college, but like with Georgia and Tennessee situation, I think they're in driver's seat for years to come. I think Kentucky's limited on resources. Florida, I like I say, I always try to be clear. I'm not complaining young athletes and playing and what they do. My criticisms are reserved for the coaching staff, for the adults. It's like Mike Gundy said, that clip years ago, I'm a man. Well, I just have reservations, legitimate reservations and concerns about the offensive scheme in Gainesville, what they do, how they can be so drastic from game to game, and what they do between running, passing, and really how much buy-in do you get from somebody that's not associated with the university. Heupel was not associated with Tennessee, but he played the game as a quarterback. He knows the college atmosphere. He seems to be more designed that way. I mean, Florida's greatest years were always going to be with Spurrier, because you know why? He was Florida. He was the university. Yeah, they won more championships with that other guy that came in, but look what happened when he left, and what happened with the program and all the stuff afterwards. And, you really don't need a mercenary. I think your better college programs that are stable have a head coach that want to be there and want to stay there. They're not looking to jump off, or it's not, there's always ego, but, it's more than just them. It's about the program and, being dominant. From year to year. So let me see this. Let me catch up with the chat. Sorry, I went off on a monologue right there. Thank you for listening to me on that one. futility or fertility. Depends on the player, I guess. So if you ever do go, I'll cry myself. Okay, Wade. I'll be sure to let you know if I do become a permanent Vol fan. I will say I do like the Vols in basketball, though. I will cheer for them in basketball. So, and thank you, Mrs. Roll Tide. Okay. The Josh Prey. He's a Florida fan that came to Knoxville, and he's done like 5 or 6 videos about Tennessee. He's super funny. Okay, I think I've seen that. Okay, I've noticed the name before. Yeah, I've noticed the name, but yeah, it's funny. Yeah, FSU will lose. I always say that, but you never. I'm telling you, when they play Florida, I don't remember what the game is this year, but I don't think it matters. FSU's better than they've been in recent years, and Florida is just Florida. And by the way, that last week, you'll hear more about it, but we will be doing the show on a different night because it's Thanksgiving week. And at this point, I have an incredibly, incredibly, incredibly special guest for that week. So we're looking at it on a Tuesday night, probably. So please be around that week. That's going to be a fun week. And that's the week of rivalries. Georgia Tech, although it's hard to call that a rivalry. Bama Auburn, Florida FSU. You got all kind of stuff. So yeah. And that's why I thought he was a Florida fan. Oh, Spurrier LL had to have an investment advisor. So how many times he threw them? I do miss Steve too, Geeky. I miss him so much because he made football fun. He had a way of making an 8-4 season fun when no other coach can. It just, with him around, we could deal with a bad season. Well, the thing is, we never really had a bad season. I think the worst might have been 7-5 at worst. Probably 8-4, but every year it was like 9-3, 10-2. Got New Year's Day bowl games, got the one national championship. That thing I love with Spurrier was he loved to get under people's goats. He didn't the way he picked at it. Like, you can't spill citrus without UT. I know you ball fans probably hated the hell out of that one years ago, and and he always kept the Seminole fans and the Georgia fans up in arms. I mean, and what made Georgia really frustrated was because if you go back and look at what I kind of looked at the numbers Friday night, in the 70s up into the 80s, Georgia dominated the heck out of the series against Florida very badly with Vince Dooley. And hats off to the Georgia community and Mr. Dooley's family, with his passing on Friday night. But he was a hell of a class act and a hell of a coach. And he would even talk about how bad his team was, even if they were ranked 5th in the nation, and would still go out there and smash the other guy. I mean, it was something to see. But in the 70s and 80s, it was so heavily dominated towards Georgia. I remember in 84 when the Gators finally won once, it was so great. It was so great the Gator fans stormed the Gator Bowl field and tore down a goalpost. Then the next year, Florida beat Auburn, became number 1, lost to Georgia 24-3, like that. And the Georgia fans wanted to storm the field, but go watch on YouTube. They were not. That was a near riot that day after that game. But the Georgia fans dominated for so long, they expected to win the games, and then when Spurrier came in, it changed dramatically. It flipped the other way. So, but anyway, that's my rambling a little bit more on Florida, Georgia, and another year gone, another year in the series that's passed. Let me ask a question. If there's people right here, real quick. I mean, we're still under an hour, but listen, especially like Geeky, Wade, from a college football standpoint, who would you say you would view Tennessee's biggest rival to be? And something like Carol, if you're still here, is there a pro team that you consider you hate the most? I mean, obviously, I'm sure you're going to say the Yankees, but figure maybe like hockey. Is there a team that you really despise in a sport that's out there? Because, like I said, I've really grown to hate Tennessee over the years, as a rival on the football field. But it's kind of funny. The more I talk to people from Tennessee, listen to stuff up there, it's like I'm kind of getting ingrained I might be, not I'm gonna switch teams, but I'm a lot nicer these days. So, um, or somebody even more credible. Oh gosh. Oh, about the guest. Yeah, yeah. But I got to sit on it for now. So yes, actually, CJ, Mrs. was on the first show overall. So yeah, she's been here. The Russian curling team. Hey, what did the Russian curling team did, or was it the year that they played the South Koreans? Are they just the obvious target of just like, oh man? But yeah. Oh, Carol, outside the Yankees, um, take your pro teams. I know you're more pro, whether it's baseball, hockey, or football. Other than the obvious like Yankees, what team or teams do you absolutely despise other than the Yankees? That's too obvious. I'm looking to see what teams people really despise or hate. So, and then Geeky said, I would say Alabama, but Florida became a really big rival, and I'm the same way. I hated Florida for a while, but I've met some amazing Florida. Exactly, it does kind of disarm you because I'll tell you what to your point, Geeky. Um, I know Tennessee, Alabama had the big rivalry forever, but over the last 20 years, even with Fulmer and all, Florida started with Spurrier, dominated that series so long. I mean, Tennessee lost so many games to Florida, even with Treon Harris as a quarterback and a kicker that couldn't kick. Lost the game 10-7, you should have won. All that. I think sometimes when you lose to an opponent, that builds up your rivalry, your spirit of rivalry, because you want to beat them so badly. So you sound a lot like me, hating Georgia so much over the years that as that with Florida. I tell you what, because Tennessee was one of those teams that really annoyed me because I like Peyton Manning. It was like, dude, is there anybody other than him? But I hate it all the time. He never beat Florida. But then again, Tebow was hyped so much. I'm sure fans on the other teams would say that too. Sometimes when one player gets overhyped. But thank you for sharing that. That really is interesting. And I've learned to really like a lot of the Tennessee people. And the only thing is, God, I hate hearing Rocky Top all the damn time. I played that all week just to get myself in the mood for that game. But it's actually, I've actually sung that on a karaoke show once just for the fun of it. So let's see. I'll go here. I would love to hear that story whenever you want to share it, Kiki. Any anti-Georgia story, you got me right there. And Kara, okay, Ravens, Colts, teams. Oh my God. So you just hate Canada. Okay, that's easy enough. Oh, I think it's funny you hate both the Ravens and Colts teams that both one is now in Baltimore and one started in Baltimore. That is really, really funny that you hate those teams, but that's kind of cool. If you have time to share any particular reason, that would be awesome. But yeah, that is awesome. CJ hates liver. Okay, Wade said Preds, Vegas, Colorado, Preds. No, Nashville Predators, Vegas Knights, Colorado, Nebraska, Tennessee. I don't think I'm following that last part. Georgia, Florida. Oh, okay, I got it. You're a Predator fan. Vegas is the team you don't like. As a Buffalo fan, you don't like Nebraska. That makes sense. That's an old rivalry too, right there. I mean, it's a shame the two schools are not in the same conference anymore because I know y'all could have a chance. Even y'all would have a chance to beat Nebraska these days. Tennessee is Bama. That makes sense. And then Georgia, of course, being Florida. Yep, absolutely. Makes sense there. Makes sense. And then I hate all teams from Detroit. Doesn't matter what sport. Detroit. Oh, my, that's so funny. Yeah, I got you. Team's not trams. If it's all trams, it's like, okay, CJ's trying to make Carol mad. Wait till she hunts you down in Fortnite. I like this one. Vandy isn't right. What has Vandy ever done? But I'm still getting nervous. I'm still seriously thinking they might win a conference game later this year. I'm I don't know. We'll have to see what happened too. I agree. That's the thing. That's always been a big discussion too, Wade, about why is Vanderbilt still in the SEC, considering they're have higher academic standards. You watch a Vanderbilt football game, and generally most games, the crowd is more than half the opposition. You know, so you do wonder. But see, then again, they have other sports. Basketball has historically been a decent program, although they've been down in recent years. And baseball, they just won a national championship a few years ago. So they do have other Division I sports that they do very well at or are competent at. And they've had some good years off and on with football. It's just Vanderbilt is a situation that's going to be very, very difficult to have a consistent winning team up there, you know, because you're recruiting against bigger schools, better facilities, and stuff like that. Okay, so is Man U a favorite or an enemy? I don't know. And why Man U? Oh, God. I mean, pick somebody with a nothing name. Somebody. Soccer, or some people call the real football. But, hey, that's good. Let me see. Let me see what we got down here. Any soccer team? Yeah, any soccer team. Yeah, you hate any soccer team. Yeah. It can be fun during the World Cup. I will tell you, if you can get some of the if you get outside the normal professional leagues and it become like a national pride with the World Cup, those games can be fun and exciting. I will say they can be. So, Peyton Manning's like a god down here, but I didn't get on the bandwagon. You know, I agree, and I'm still watching commercials with him now. You know, and I just like, you know, there was just something. I don't know. It's one of those things. Good for him, good for the school. But you know, one thing as a Gator fan, we always had 4-0 over him, so that was a good thing too. But you know, like even Tebow was the big thing here, but even then, I can understand people not getting on or not getting on the bandwagon, and sometimes, and one thing, sometimes that's the one problem I have with that is that the one person overshadows the rest of the team. And see, it's still a team sport at the end of the day. So, and so I'm supposed to hate the LA Kings because of the Ducks. Okay, well, Anaheim, LA, yeah, definitely. And the Misses any basketball team. Okay, you like basketball. Don't start that. I did open the floodgates with this. Any Doctor Strange players on Fortnite? Yes, that's a good one. That is a good one. Yes. So, absolutely. Oh, God. It's just their united enemy. You can't tell me who to hate. Hello. I can try. Yeah, but yeah. And then Marshall University is better than Vandy, has a better story. Yeah, Marshall, the tragedy many years ago. And Marshall beat Notre Dame this year. I mean, they've had some decent years around. Like I said, though, soccer is generally boring, but sometimes if you can get to the World Cup, it's actually fun. And like we said, it's fun. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Because it means something. There for running around 90 minutes, not trying to kick the ball in the net and then go to a shootout. Yeah, that at least some of the. And I will tell you this: there are some sports I prefer watching the women play more than the men. I prefer women's college softball over men's college baseball. One, the game moves much faster, and two, they are really going at it. Women's soccer versus men's soccer is a lot tougher too. A lot less faking. So anyway, those are some good sports that I have there. And then the Missus says, any rugby team go against the soccer team? Yeah. One of the stories that we had is that we saw a rugby match once, and the guy got his head split open, goes to the sideline, head bleeding. They just throw some gauze on it and then wraps his head with duct tape. It went right back in. So duct tape solves everything, Oh, man. Oh, you hate basketball? Y'all got a good team up there in Knoxville. You should like basketball. And see, that basketball is one where I prefer the college game versus the NBA game. NBA game, you go in the first couple minutes. In the fourth quarter, it's a different game. It's all changed. College basketball, is where it's at. So if you haven't tried it, enjoy your Tennessee team. They're pretty good. Wade, I try to be careful, especially since I'm new starting this, of what I say sometimes. Maybe another time when I get into things with program with history, I will, once I've had time to script and design what I think. I do have opinions. I just since we're in a public setting, I actually have nicknames, but I can tell you off chat, but it's like publicly I've got to be professional. I got to be an adult. Yeah, and as a Gator fan, yeah, I never really accepted him as a Gator coach. He was not accommodating to the fan base as I understood it. We had all the Gator Club meetings and stuff, and that was a drama with whether he went or not. So, there's a lot of history that, with there. And Carol said she actually grew up with soccer and it's much fun going to an actual game. I agree. I went to a couple matches with my daughter when she was still in school here. So, that's, I think some sports are meant to be watched in person or live. Hockey is one. You tell me that, I know you have to settle for hockey on TV, but it's, it's definitely better. You want to see somebody going, having fun, watch Mrs. Dadman when we're up sitting next to the glass in a hockey match. Yeah. Oh man, it all comes out. Let's see, my Boston Celtics. Yay, Boston. The squeaky shoes. Yeah, that happens. I can get that, but yeah, they're interesting. I watch kids playing basketball, but I do not like pro basketball. Hey, Miss, yeah, I've got a coaching story. Once, and the Miss and I coached a team once. I'd like to. Can I share that one? The story. It's always fun when you get to coach sports and stuff too, because you get the drama from the parents and from the refs and just all the other stuff. It's kind of an interesting thing that happens. But yeah, let's see, the Pred Stadium is the best stadium. Prove me wrong. Have not seen that. Okay, sure. Okay, talking back here. We'll go back here and we'll wind up in just a couple minutes, unless y'all have stuff you want to chat about. But George, watch your kids playing basketball, and I don't like pro basketball. And we agreed. We've taken our kids to college games on the road and stuff. We've gone to college games. Well, one year we actually coached one of my girls' teams actually, and we were having fun with it. But it's supposed to be in a laid back league where you don't get time and maybe walk on the court and help them in the first couple games. We were told no. Got to be ready for game one. And we only had 6 players on each team. And the other coach and I looked at each other like, what's going on? We hadn't worked on jump balls or anything. And it was hilarious. Well, the 3-second rule in basketball is one of the hardest rules to enforce, but you need to do it consistently. Well, we had some height, but they had girls jumping over my kid who was pretty tall and other people, but they were on the offensive end, blowing way past 3 seconds. So Mrs. finally starts counting out loud, 1, 2, 3. And she does it throughout the game a bit. And then finally, one time when our guys on our side of the ball scored and they're coming back down, the referee's coming back down court, looks at me and says, "Coach, one more time and you're out of here." I'm like, what? What did I do? I didn't say anything. Mrs. over there sneaking, laughing about. She knew what she did. It was her almost getting me thrown out of the game for the counting of the clock, which I didn't blame her, but hey, the joys of coaching and fun. And like there, Carol, yeah, hockey games in person, that's absolutely right. And then Carol went to a playoff game with the Bruins in Carolina. Ooh, I hate Carolina. They tore the Devils up many times years ago when the Devils actually were good and had a chance. So, and here, the hockey is so much fun in person. We went to Pred's game against the Ducks in March and had a damn blast. Absolutely. It's we have minor league hockey where we are, but we haven't been in a couple of years. It's just, I don't know. It's part of it's gotten so expensive. Just the parking fees now are, anyway, that's crazy. But let's see. And the answer, Wade, I haven't been to Anaheim yet, so I'll let them know if it's better than Bridgestone. Okay. Well, good for y'all. We have a debate about state hockey stadiums, so, and yes, you did. You almost got me thrown out of the game. I didn't even, for once, I didn't know what I did to deserve it, but it's all good. Well, listen, we've made it over an hour. We've done the SEC updates. Let me go ahead and close this out now, unless you have any real last second things. Okay. I may be in Florida, but hockey does not belong in Florida, whether it's Panthers or Tampa Bay. No, hockey should go up north. I mean, if Carol wanted to add the 2 Florida teams to her hating the Canadian teams, go for it, because it's like it just doesn't seem right with Florida having hockey teams. So, but on that note, well, let me you keep, if y'all have stuff you want to say, I'll go. But let me go ahead and do the wrap up stuff. This Thursday night, our next weekly show will be at 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll have another special guest on. Currently scheduled is going to be Whoopa Troopa, who comes from the Midwest. We may have a Big 12 perspective, which will help us talk about also the expansion with Texas and Oklahoma joining the SEC in 2024, and some insight about Texas A&M and Missouri too, that joined the league in 2012. So, actually, Geeky, I'll DM you after the show a little bit, okay? If that's okay. We can talk about doing something like that if you would like. All right. Absolutely. So, Thursday night, 8 p.m., join us there. Also, to find out the latest of what's going on, what's going to be happening, Twitter is where to find that. Dadman Walking 55. Also, I'm on, we stream on twitch.tv, Dadman Walking 55, and YouTube at Dadman Walking 55. Generally, our streams are done on both platforms, except for when we run Fortnite. I can only run either or off of Fortnite. But either way, all 3 of them, Dadman Walking 55, to make it easier. If you'd like to watch on the Twitch side, make sure that you follow and share it out with others if you can, or share the links. If you're on YouTube, make sure, please subscribe to the channel. Let's get to 100 and get that custom URL, and like the videos too. So it's I appreciate the support, and folks, I really appreciate y'all here tonight. I appreciate the comments in the chat. I appreciate CJ's distraction and Mrs. Help and Carol. Even we're talking hockey and Geeky and Wade with our college sports, and then morphed into hockey. I love this. Thank you all for being here. Y'all really help make this really a lot of fun to do. And I appreciate each and every one of you. And make sure you get the word out about it. Share it with your friends, and hopefully, we'll get even more. And maybe next season we can do even more things. I still have plans for other events. We have 4 more weeks of college football. Then we enter the bowl season and the playoffs. And we'll have some special shows around those. So just keep looking forward to it. Good luck to your Tennessee team. But again, come back Thursday night, and I'll have more to say about that. On that note, everybody, thank you for being here, and have a good night and the rest of your weekend, and take care. Bye everybody.